教えよう。力というのはこういうものを言う。
Admit it. One of the best moments in action anime is when a character just simply, for lack of a better term, doesn't give a damn about his opponent. It doesn't matter how strong the opponent is or how many enemies there are, you have one overpowered character pull a one-man army or just assert complete dominance on any opponent. It's one of the most satisfying feelings that caused the popularity of overpowered main characters, in my opinion. You're in for a treat today because we'll be taking a look at 10 anime moments where a character just simply showcases his powers. If you're up for some top-tier flexing, you've come to the right place. We start off with Levi taking on the Beast Titan. There are many things that Levi is. Cool, powerful, resourceful, relentless, amongst others. Now what happens if you put all of those together in one short package? The ultimate Titan killing machine, that's what. He's had a lot of great moments that got fangirls wet, but what bigger showcase of power than his duel with the Beast Titan? For all the hype that the Beast Titan got, he sure fell rather quickly to Levi. Technically, Levi didn't do this alone, and the meticulous dissection of the Beast Titan would never have been possible without major sacrifices. However, once the stage has been set and Levi was let loose, it was over. The Beast Titan didn't know what hit him, and before long, we're treated to one of the most elaborate destructions of a Titan in the entire series. The precision and flow in which Levi goes to work is just impeccable, and it truly shows why he's called humanity's strongest soldier. Coming up next is Datsuyas' Material Burst. So when political warfare gets serious, things become, well, quite complicated, especially if you're talking about an entire alliance of enemies led by not China in the Mahoka-verse. Thankfully, Japan has something that any other nation in the world doesn't have. Datsuyas. Heck, why risk having the enemy forces land and start a bloody war that will guarantee uncountable casualties? Just blast the entire fleet and evaporate them while they're still at sea. Watch how Datsuyas does it from the comfort of a faraway military base. Material Burst, as they call it, is one of the most powerful forces of destruction in the Mahoka universe. Datsuyas, at this point in the series, has had a lot of these moments already. There was a time he knocked someone out by staring at him, or that one time he melted a bus on the road from inside a classroom. Oh, and there's beating a sniper using his pistol, but none of them comes close to this one in terms of scale. A second light novel protagonist makes his way to the list, and we have Arnold coming in next.
You know
how you, being the strongest demon lord ever, showcase your power to your weak descendants? By first killing someone without even lifting a finger. Over and over and over again. Not done having fun? Arnos revives. It doesn't matter that the poor victim seems to have these cool powers or can make some brave speeches that you typically hear from powerful opponents. Somehow there's a twisted sense of satisfaction seeing Arnos just cakewalk over the opposition, then willingly bring him back just to make a statement. Just the perfect moment to set up and give your viewers expectations as to what Misfit of Demon King Academy is. I'd say that this is an exaggerated parody of the Magic Academy light novel genre, kind of like what One Punch Man is to superhero and shonen series. A short turn your brain off series that you might enjoy, so do check it out. Let's continue with more heroic examples with Eskanor. Given Seven Deadly Sins' reputation as a shonen series where everyone's power limiters just get taken off and allowed to run wild, I expected something from the show to make its way to the list. The main problem is, however, was picking the right moment to feature because there are so many of them. After careful deliberation, my personal favorite showcase of power you'll see out of the series is Eskanor's battle against two commandments, Galland and Moleskula. All the trash talking and the showcase of power by those two may seem impressive at first glance, but not to Eskanor. After all of that, all they managed to do is a puny cut, and when it's Eskanor's turn, consider the battle finished. The result? Well, a perfect victory. Eskanor comes out of the 2-on-1 completely uninjured. I'd call this one of the biggest flexes in all of Seven Deadly Sins, and seeing as we're talking about Eskanor, I guess that statement can be taken a little bit more literally. A supposed boss fight that gets wrapped up in a little less than 2 chapters in the manga and a couple of minutes in the anime? Hilarious, but that's Eskanor for you. When you think of overpowered anime protagonists, Luffy doesn't often make the list immediately. I mean, that's fair. Compared to a lot more of the more modern protagonists or even some of his peers in his era, Luffy's taken quite a bit of losses and had to struggle to get the wins he got. That way of writing a protagonist does make the triumphs mean more, but it also makes moments like these a breath of fresh air. The visual of Luffy not batting an eye as he gets surrounded by hordes of fishmen is something that I won't easily forget. It's also mainly because of how he just beats them all. You know how in anime numbers often mean nothing? Here, it's 1 against 50,000. Rookie numbers, I say, especially if you've got Conqueror's Haki on your side. Luffy just walks over these fishmen like it was nothing, not even throwing a punch, defeated them all in an instant. Granted, these fishmen are nothing but mooks, but for the people in the One Piece universe, that's still 50,000 of them. That's gotta mean something, right?
お前がどんなとこでどういう王になろうと勝手だけどな。海賊の王者は一人で十分だ。
起動した。また血気術。なんだこの女は。誰だ。
Up next, we have Muzan killing the lower moons. I think that the scene of a villain killing his minions for their weakness has become quite common. However, what's less common is the villain doing so just because. Muzan does that in short order. You remember that lower moon that gave our heroes trouble? Of course you do. Half of you probably got into Demon Slayer because of the episode where Tanjiro fights the guy. Now imagine multiples of them, and Muzan just easily disposes of them without batting an eye. All because he wanted to. All because he found them weak. Given what happened, I don't think Muzan's lying. Was it a smart decision for the leader of the demons? Most likely not. Was it a big balls flex of power? Yes, it definitely was. All of them just outright dropped dead without us even knowing what they can do, breaking the shonen rule. At least one lower moon lives through it all, and you'd expect to have to see the upcoming movie to fully experience the true ferocity of Enmu. We have a recent contender making the list, Jujutsu Kaisen's Gojo. Those of you watching the currently airing anime would have probably heard of the tale of Gojo Sensei and his amazing battle against Jogo. Personally, I think that the battle perfectly fits into this list as it shows the terrifying extent of Gojo's powers in order to push him as arguably one of the most overpowered characters on the list. At first, you would have thought that Jogo would put up any semblance of a fight, and for a brief moment he does, and that's all there is to it. What happens next is basically an exhibition, an example to tell you why you pick your battles and never ever go after the happy-go-lucky teacher with such a fierce reputation. Let's just say that Jogo got owned. There's no other way around it. He's not known as the strongest sorcerer for nothing. Now, whose brilliant idea was it to give such a cool character the broken ability of space manipulation?
そんなに怖いですか？私が。
Remember when Utsuru was introduced, where he kicked our main cast's ass? I mean, beating those guys without breaking a sweat is no easy feat, but what if he starts taking on the entire freaking cast of the show? Still, not a challenge. Utsuru is right up there in the gallery of most broken anime antagonists, and the decisive fight against him is basically a showcase of how insane this guy is. Gintoki gets stomped pretty easily, but then the Shinsengumi comes in and gets their ass kicked as well. Even Kamui and Umibos are no match for him. With all these opponents giving their best shots, Utsuru still stands proud and tall, wrecking everyone like it was nothing. We're just getting started with a whole slew of shonen villains, however. Coming up next should be another very familiar face. Granddaddy of broken shonen anime villains, Eisen is a must include on this list. When the fake Garakura arc was ongoing in Bleach, you'd really wonder how much of a war it really was. It's only one side getting casualties, and the Arankars, while putting up a fight, generally looked outmatched. Once the Vizards come in, it's virtually game over, it seems. But let me ask you a question. When were you under the impression that Eisen needed help? At his state, he's become the sheer embodiment of an overpowered villain, evolving and getting new powers with every fight. The illusion powers on his Zanbakuto is already troublesome, but now you throw in super regeneration and new ways of surviving whatever nukes thrown at him into the mix. Outsmarting and soloing multiple captains is something, but even tanking everything that Urahara and friends have in store is just absurd. Heck, even Ichigo's super ultimate final attack gets tanked later on. Granted, it was mostly post-training Ichigo flexing on him that fight, but it just gives a perspective of what level Eisen's at. Of course, we can't have Eisen without the other broken shonen jump villain, Madara. Far too often in anime, we see a villain with tons of hype. For all the time he was off screen, he gets talked about as some super powerful force, only to get beaten rather easily once it's his time to actually appear. None of that applies to Madara. He hit the road running with his first appearance being one of the biggest one-man army moments in all of anime. He's just far too strong for the lowly Shinobi Alliance, which he systematically takes down all by himself. The guy is the most broken character in the entire series, and it's not even close. I'm pretty sure Kishimoto created the whole Kaguya thing because he realized that he made Madara too powerful and needed to come up with a beatable villain. I think I made this joke somewhere before, and I still stand by it. With that, we conclude this list. So, what do you think about it? Which one would you rank at the top, and which would you rank higher or lower? Perhaps you also have moments that you think should have belonged to the list. The comment section is all yours. If you have any suggestions for future content that you want to feature, make sure to also drop this in the comments as well. I might take a look at the most interesting ones and create a featured list on that sooner rather than later. As we finish, I encourage you to like and subscribe. If you're interested in more videos, please hit the subscribe button because nothing makes me happier than seeing this channel grow. Let's work together for our next milestone, and I'll see you next time on ViniiTube.